Good morning. As president of Drury University, I extend our warm welcome to all of our students and families on this great occasion. This is the beginning of nearly our 150th year here at Drury, and we're proud of that, and so that's part of what makes this a wonderful occasion. I also extend a warm welcome to our faculty and staff. Warren White Scholars, Faculty Award recipients, we celebrate your accomplishments and are here to recognize you today. My most enthusiastic welcome goes to the new students of Drury University, transfer students, CCPS students, graduate students, and those of you at the beginning of your academic adventure. We have looked forward to your arrival. We chose you carefully, and we know a great deal about you. We know you will bring energy, vitality, and imagination to our academic enterprise and to the Drury family. We know that our wonderful faculty will challenge you, and we know that you will change us as you find your voice here at Drury. Create new student organizations and new student programs. Become involved in one of our student organizations. We have a lot to offer. We hope that you will leave your own individual and collective mark on our community. This is our hope for you. You are the first class to have the opportunity to take advantage of our new academic program, your Drury Fusion. You will be able to explore and discover your passion. We want you to discover through the liberal arts and working with our faculty those things that will prepare you for life. And at the same time, we want you to discover what John Dewey called the pragmatic liberal arts by developing professional and technical competencies that will help you to achieve success in your chosen field and career, your Drury Fusion. You have come to a university that believes our purpose is to encourage you to develop all aspects of yourself, mind, body, and spirit. We want you to grow individually, but we also want you to grow in your understanding and sense of responsibility toward others in this community and in the world at large. An exemplar of the fulfillment of Drury's lofty hopes for you was a beloved student and member of our Drury family who we lost this summer in a tragic accident, Caroline Conrad. She lived out our vision for you. She lived out our aim for the fulfillment of the whole person. She was a passionate artist, and she also applied her passion and talent to concrete projects, such as designing the cover of our new student planners. But Carolyn also brought light into every room she entered and into our community. She was an athlete. She was engaged with numerous student organizations. Through a sense of humor, creativity, and caring spirit, she left an enduring mark on us and our community. Her example is a marvelous one to follow. To be engaged, to show love and care for all people, to leave your mark. But that is not easy, and this is not an easy school. But you knew that before you applied. Our faculty here are extraordinary. Our academic program, your Drury Fusion, is unique, and our majors are strong and will challenge you as you seek to discover your vocation. The certificates that you earn will prepare you for life and profession. You will work closely with our faculty to explore the content, mysteries, and promises of our academic disciplines. You will also learn to see the interconnectivity between disciplines. In the Bible, the serpent represents the temptation to be arrogant, to have pride, to have hubris. That's why Moses and Aaron laid down their staffs before Pharaoh, and their staffs turned into serpents. Symbolically, this revealed Pharaoh's arrogance and his belief that his kingdom had and he understood all of the truth. He was arrogant. One of the reasons, many reasons I love Drury is because we are grounded in the premise that our disciplines do not contain the whole truth of life. We are a place that celebrates humility. We are humbled because we know that there's a vast unknown knowledge out there yet to be discovered. So after your first class here at Drury with one of our wise faculty sages, probably Peter Browning's class, don't feel that you have discovered the whole truth. because there's a lot to learn. You see, no one of us, or particular group of us at Drury or in the world, knows the whole truth. So we teach that no one of us can sit on the throne of Pharaoh and look down on others. Part of the cause of the terrible acrimony and divisions in our country today is driven by the desire by some to assert that only I or only we know the truth. Only some of us are awake and enlightened, and the others of you are not. But this ignores our own human fallibility, the limits of our understanding. When we recognize that our humanness unites us, it is healing. When we divide ourselves into neat categories and into particularistic identities, and then generalize about groups of people based on race, gender, sex, religion, nationality, or political viewpoint, we risk doing harm. When we believe and treat others in a certain way because we think that particular identity defines all that that person is, we risk harm. When we embrace a worldview that divides our world into those who have the truth and those who live in untruth, we risk doing harm. When we view our world and others as either victims or executioners, as Albert Camus would say, we risk doing harm. When we do these things, we blind ourselves to our common humanity. We lose a sense of human dignity and the ability to treat each other with decency. Totalitarian regimes on the left and the right do not believe in universal human dignity. They only believe that some are worthy and ignore that we all sin, have the same hopes, dreams, the same pains and sorrows, same suffering. If we lose this sense of understanding, we risk doing a great harm. We risk falling into barbarism. And yet we are only one generation away from barbarism because humility, universal human dignity, and love and forgiveness have to be learned. They have to be taught. And we teach that here at Drury. This does not mean that there is no truth or that nothing is ever true, but it does mean that our human understanding of the world, society, and others is always incomplete and unfinished. In our Drury community and in higher education, we know and teach that knowledge can always be extended or revised or challenged, and additional study, thought, and research leads us to greater realizations and understandings. So our faculty members will not offer you truth in some pre-digested form. They will not simply open your head and pour truth in. You must seek it out, struggle with it, and form your own understanding of the truth, all the while standing in the long historical shadow of human fallibility, which tempers us. You will be guided in your quest to discover truth and lives of meaning by this wonderful faculty seated before us, the men and women who will serve as your mentors, exploring your intellectual passion and preparing you for professional life. But what is the best that an education can give you in this complex, changing world? Many of the types of jobs and professions that are in demand today will no longer exist in 5 to 10 years. Artificial intelligence, the speed of the movement of technology, is reshaping everything that we are. We are in a time of dramatic change. So what is our aim as a liberal arts university? Well, the best that an education can give you is to teach you to learn how to learn. An excellent education like Drury's aims to inspire you to be interested, engaged, committed inquirers. Neil Rudenstein, the former president of Harvard, said, "To be educated and not just have a college degree means that you learn how to thoughtfully, with reason, interrogate experiences, events, points of view, and narratives, not cable news style, but to penetrate beyond the merely apparent or likely or knee-jerk emotional reaction, and to look for relevant evidence and inspect it rigorously. You will learn to imagine a range of possible interpretations of an event or a particular person's actions and point of view, while recognizing that maybe more than one interpretation may be plausible. To achieve these qualities, you will be taught critical and analytical skills, the ability to synthesize, to think creatively, to write well, to speak articulately. Your faculty will hone these abilities in you through an interactive, personalized education. That which is easy, which comes with no effort, is not worth attaining. Earning a baccalaureate degree is not easy. It comes with great effort. But to earn a college degree, and even more to be educated, is an accomplishment of great value. We know that people who obtain a 4-year bachelor's degree earn over their lifetimes $1.2 million more than someone who has not attained that mark. But being educated is about much more than the goods that you can accumulate. It's about the good that you can do in the world and with those around you. It's about improving the quality of your life and cultivating the ability and desire to contribute to the common good. Our world and our country desperately need you now, educated citizens. Our public discourse with each other has become mean and shrill on all sides. We're losing the boundaries of decency and human dignity. But we know that with a Drury education, you will be able to heal some of these divisions and help to make our civil society whole again and teach others what it means to have healthy differences, conflicts, and debates, not simply to yell at each other or to silence people who disagree with you by labeling them or placing them into a category where you don't have to listen to them and can simply dismiss them. We hope through you to help create a world where barbarism, bigotry, hatred, and prejudice cannot thrive. So open yourselves to your fellow students, especially those with different points of view than your own. Reach outside of your comfort zones and be deliberate in creating diverse friendship groups. Some of you, we know, have had relationships with many people who have different views than you or who are different than you. But we want you to make a special effort here at Drury to connect with others. I spent my formative years, some of you know, growing up living on a Native American reservation and at a Native American boarding school campus, where my father was the superintendent. The school was on the edge of the Navajo reservation. There were 6 of us in my family living in a 1,300 square foot house. We were so poor that we got used clothes, shoes, Christmas presents, and birthday presents out of the big mission barrels that were sent from back east. Going to public school, and the one I went to, I was poor and I was excluded at first, and it was painful. I went to a public school in town, not at the boarding school. My school was 10% Anglo, and the rest of the students were Navajo, Hopi, Apache, Ute, Hispanic, and African American. Sometimes there were tensions between these groups. It was the late 1960s, after all. This experience taught me that individuals within these groups were very different from one another, and that the various groups of students were also very different from each other. But the friends groups that formed were extremely diverse. We lived with each other and experienced all aspects of each other's lives, sharing our fears, our happiness, fun, joy, sadness, and grief. I learned about Hopi, Navajo, Apache, Ute, and others' belief systems and rituals and how they differed from my own. I learned that I could never really understand what it would be like to walk around in their skin, but I learned that it is possible to vicariously see what they saw through imagination. I saw that we were united by our common humanity. This knowledge that we all had helped us to overcome conflicts and divisions and differences of opinion. Sometimes, even though we had that, we got into fights. Sometimes we would have play fights as kids, and the Native Americans always wanted to be the cowboys and the Anglos wanted to be the Indians. But our intimate friendships led us to treat each other with dignity and decency. I had been friends with Johnny Arthur although he was much older than me, since I was a child. He was a Navajo, and by the time he was in high school, he was a big guy. He used to carry me around all over campus on his shoulders. He and his sister were at my house, it seemed like all the time, eating dinner, lunch, having fun with me and my brothers and sisters, until he graduated from high school. Then, as so many Navajos do, he volunteered for the Marine Corps and went to Vietnam. I will never forget the day my father told me that Johnny, or Big Daddy as I called him, was not coming home. I remember riding out to Johnny's house all the way out on the reservation with the Marines and my father to tell his family. In our common humanity, we wept with each other and fell into deep grief. And then in the Navajo tradition, for 15 days, we drove out to Johnny Arthur's Hogan, and there were medicine men and drums and sand paintings and the ritual grief practices that went on night after night until late in the night. That was the Navajo way. We sat sometimes and prayed in the Christian tradition for Johnny and his family. But for me, there was just my pain and my grief and my sorrow. I loved Johnny as my Big Daddy, not as a person of color, not as a Native American, not as a member of the American Indian movement, not as a Navajo, not as a reservation kid or a patriotic Marine. I just loved Big Daddy. I loved Johnny Arthur. The Navajo way is that after 15 days of mourning and ritual, everyone is forever forbidden to talk about or mention the name of the deceased. That was extremely painful for me, but I discovered a little loophole. The exception to the rule was that if you explained you had seen the deceased in a vision. When I said I'd had a vision of Johnny, I could talk about him. I had a lot of visions. I had so many that the Navajo kids started laughing at me and calling me in Navajo the one who has visions. We came to love and respect each other by becoming friends, not by debating politics of the day or presuming that we knew who we were or who someone else was because of their particularistic identity. Finally, there is a Navajo wisdom tale I would like to leave you with to consider. A Navajo elder told a young person this: inside of you there are two powerful wolves that struggle with each other over your thoughts, over your mind, over your soul. One of them wants to spark anger, revenge, hatred, retribution, and cruelty. And the other wants to spark love and forgiveness and kindness and peace and gentleness in you. The young Navajo asked the elder, "Well, who wins?" And the elder responded, "Well, the one you feed, of course." At Drury, we want you to learn here to feed your love and forgiveness and to carry them with you while you are here and into your life ahead. Welcome to Drury.